We've gone through the raid rankings, we've gone through the Mythic Plus rankings. Now it's time to look at the top 10 overall best specs for DPS, tanking, and healing here. A nice compressed video from the Comeback Kids. Let's check this one out real quick.
Okay, Midnight Season 1 is fully underway, and with content like raiding and Mythic Plus getting dominated across the board, we finally have the data to break down the best specs in Season 1, crushing it right now in Midnight. We're going to go through some tanks, healers, and DPS, but just remember that, of course, ladies and gentlemen, any class in the game can do any form of content right now with how straightforward everything is. Just for reference, we have a Fury and Arms Warrior in the same dungeon comp in a Skyreach plus 17. So right now, we're simply just talking about specs that feel like they have, you know, the clear edge amongst the rest. Starting off first, we knew it was coming. It's obvious. We have the Frost Mage. This spec, top to bottom in Midnight World of Warcraft, will be, you know, obviously S tier for raiding and Mythic Plus. It's just pretty much just crushing it right now. You have incredible on-demand damage
Frost
whenever
Mage
you want with 2 charges of Ray of Frost, and it procs your Apex talent on demand for good AoE damage. You have also consistent AoE with your Shatters. You have Blizzard and Frozen Orb, a good defensive toolkit if you know how to play Mage properly, solid utility. I mean, listen, at this point...
Shots fired. Yeah, Frost Mage right now is one of the best DPS specs in the game.
In the game, you name it, the Frost Mage has it right now. Not only that, with the complete redesign coming into play, they're rather straightforward to play now, rather than the, you know, non-stop proc machine they were back in the War Within. Also, with how some of the fights are designed in the raid right now, where you need a lot of on-demand burst AoE damage, all you have to do is just simply press Ray of Frost and, you know, Ice Lance whenever ads come out, and you will be topping the damage meters, no problem. It's pretty much that simple. If I had to vote for the best overall damage in the game right now, it would actually go to Frost Mage. Good build variety, simple, smooth gameplay rotation, good on-demand burst, consistent damage. You name it, they have it. Great spec right now.
Yeah, surprisingly, too, Blizzard's been leaving Frost Mage alone. They haven't been nerfing them. They've been working on Arcane and Fire to try to get them up a little bit, but right now, Frost Mage sitting pretty.
Now, a huge surprise on this list, though, actually has to go to the Affliction Warlock. Now, I was very excited about Affliction heading into this expansion, but they've been kind of underwhelming throughout Alpha and Beta, but right now, they seem to have come out of nowhere with their tuning. Their AoE damage is incredible with Seed of Corruption and dot spreading right now. Their utility is good with their health stones, their battle resurrection, as well as their curses to slow down caster packs, which is really, really helpful in high-level keys. And they also have good crowd control, so they have pretty much everything you would want for a superstar inside of a Mythic Plus environment. The only issue right now with Affliction is that their single target damage is pretty average at best. They definitely make up for it with everything else they bring in the game. The rotation is quite literal.
I'm surprised by this one, Affliction Warlock. I don't play Warlock, so maybe I'm out of touch with the Warlock community. But is it me, or is it every single expansion? We got Demonology Warlock. They come out of the gates blazing hot. Like everyone's on the PTR and they're talking about how Demonology's back and it's going to be the shit. And you summon 50 fucking demons at once in your fight. And then it gets nerfed into the ground and it's no longer viable. I just feel like every single season, every single expansion, I hear all the hype about Demonology and then it just gets nerfed. It never fucking becomes the top DPSer.
Early, you agony as many mobs as you can as you're building into the pole. You use Haunt and Dark Harvest on cooldown, and you literally just spam Seed of Corruption over and over and over and over again, and it's the most satisfying rotation right now for me personally. It also helps that Warlock in general probably has the best defensive toolkit in the entire game for ranged DPS out there, so you can survive any encounter if you know what you're doing on a Warlock and you use your cooldowns properly. I really enjoy Affliction Warlock right now. I think they're dominating in Midnight, and they are doing great. Next up, we have the brand new kit on...
Also, Warlock's always great to play because of utility. They bring their freaking raid utility. Their soul stones, their health stones, their freaking summoning. I mean, everyone wants a Warlock.
The block, the Devourer Demon Hunter. Now, I think everybody knows by this point, Devourer could be very straightforward as a DPS for your rotation. The truth of the matter is that their skill ceiling is very high if you know what you're doing, though. Right now, the damage they can deal inside of Metamorphosis is quite literally unmatched between their nuclear collapsing stars, the heavy-hitting void rays, and of course their buffed Eradicate. Devourer is doing just simply a lot of damage right now. It's really as simple as that. In terms of utility, they don't bring too much other than their magic, you know, 3%.
We just saw it in the overall raid damage for the first, for Void Spire. They were #1 in overall damage.
Debuff. But this is a spec that honestly is meant to carry a group in terms of damage. So if you combine them with maybe a Mage an Affliction Warlock, or a balanced Druid, you'll be just fine in terms of group utility and support. Not only that, they're also performing incredibly well inside of raids right now because of, you know, the on-demand burst damage they can bring whenever they pop inside of Metamorphosis, whenever ads come out and you need to burn them down quickly. Big AoE eradicates, collapsing stars, they're doing really, really well. They're performing well in the raid. All in all, Devourer is just doing great right now for a spec that seems very straightforward on paper, but quite a high skill ceiling if you know what you're doing on Devourer, which is quite nice. Speaking of huge burst damage, we of course have to talk about the Devastation Evoker. Listen, Devastation seems to be another spec that...
Evoker overall is eating pretty well right now. I mean, we've even seen Augmentation be like one of the best in Mythic Plus right now. So, I mean, overall, Evoker's having a good expansion.
Is just crushing the meters right now across the board for Mythic Plus and rating. Now, while the Flame Shaper hero talent tree may be underperforming pretty bad, Scale Commander is awesome right now. The star of the show has to be their ability to deep breath back to back, and just having this causes them to deal so much extra damage by proccing a ton of their talents whenever you deep breath. You crowd control enemies very easily, and then you deal heavy damage, with Deep Breath being their #1 overall damaging ability inside of a Mythic Plus dungeon. Of course, following that, you have their AoE Disintegrates, which is powerful in Mythic Plus for cleaving.
It's probably the best Evoker's been since Dragonflight. Literally all three of their specs are great right now.
As well as single target on boss fights. And listen, you just gotta know, Devastation is another perfect example of how well some of the Midnight's class pruning has been. It didn't change the identity of Devastation entirely, it just simply pruned all of the annoying parts of the spec and just made it so much better. Not only that, when it comes to Devastation, they bring great utility with their crowd control, group buffs, you know, they got a Dispel, and even very powerful defensive. So as a whole, their kit right now is just...
Hey, it might be a good time to try Evoker. I mean, if you're totally like anti-scaly boy, like you don't want people to, you know, think you have a sexual fetish and shit like that, soon in 12.0.5, you'll be able to play as an Evoker, but stay in your Visage form. So you're not going to transform into a dragon unless you're doing a dragon-specific ability. That's going to be an option in the game now. So, hey, maybe more people are going to try Evoker now.
Doing great in group content. When it comes to rating, I'm sure you already know, like you heard already 10 times in the video.
I personally think if they really wanted people to play Evoker, they should just give the dragonid form, right? Make big boy, big buff boys as your dragon form, but you know, Blizzard don't listen.
The raid, you need good on-demand burst damage whenever ads come out, and you know, there's a lot of cleaving scenarios out there. And of course, Devastation is one of the best in the game at that. You got Eternity Surge, Double Deep Breath, Disintegrate AoE combos. You name it, everything is going to get melted in that area when they pop their cooldowns. Next up, believe it or not, we have the Marksmanship Hunter. Listen, I can't believe I'm saying this right now. Marksman is actually booming. This is all caused because I think it's Aspect of the Hydra, I believe that's the name, is performing so well right now, which causes your aim shots and arcane shots, as well as rapid fire, to permanently hit nearby enemy for 65% of the damage. Not only that, you have probably 1 million talents causing you to deal just unspeakable damage with your aim shot ability. And if you look at the damage numbers here, it's dealing a total of 40% of Marksman's damage inside of a Mythic Plus key. And if you combine that with their hero talent for Sentinel, we're looking at 65% of their total damage being dealt by 2 abilities on a Marksmanship Hunter. That is quite literally insane.
We got 2-button rotation, boys.
Insane to think about, and it goes to show that if a class is designed well and it's very straightforward and simple, its numbers are probably going to look something like this. So you have a rotation that's rather straightforward, burst AoE damage that is amongst some of the best in the game, very, very high consistent AoE, on a very mobile range DPS spec. So yeah, no wonder Marksman's doing well right now. Not only that, inside of the raiding environment, I think you guys may have seen in the Mythic Raid to World First, Liquid was actually stacking Marksmanship Hunters on a boss fight as well. So their AoE rotation...
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the Race to World First, they weren't just stacking Marksmanship Hunters. They were stacking freaking range DPS. They killed the final boss, I forget what the fuck is Dark Spire, whatever, Void Spire's final boss, with 11 range DPS and only 3 melee. So right now, yeah, ranged DPS, they eating. Right now, everything in the raid basically favors ranged.
And consistent burst damage just through the roof. Very, very good spec right now. Straightforward. Gotta be one of the best in the game, I would say. And lastly, for DPS, you guys know we gotta talk about it. It's the Unholy Death Knight, man. The fully reworked Unholy spec is here in Midnight.
Unholy Death Knight right now in raid, best single target damage. I mentioned Devourer Demon Hunter was best overall. Single target, Unholy.
There's a reason a lot of people are playing him right now. Unholy has an incredibly balanced damage profile with their damage coming from just a very wide variety of sources, very, very high and very consistent. You know, you got their pets, the Putrefy, Virulent Plague, and I think it's called Pestilence. Of course, then you have the cherry on top, which your Apex talent, whenever you proc your Army of the Dead, you use that on cooldown, and then you're just spamming Graveyard over and over and over and over and over again. You're dealing just unspeakable damage. Very, very fun overall. I gotta say, you're just that ranged plate-wearing necromancer at this point. Unholy is just simply super fun to play right now. Something very interesting also is that I have seen some build variety between them when it comes to their hero talents. I have seen some Unholy DKs play Sand Lane. I've seen, of course, Riders of Apocalypse, which is like the main one, but there is good build variety, so that's kind of cool as well. Don't forget also, Death Knight has probably the best defensive toolkit in the game. They're practically unkillable if you know what you're doing. And, you know, all this wraps them up as probably one of the coolest gameplay themes in the game, while also being exceptionally well in the performance.
As a Blood DK, I also like having Unholy with me for the extra grips. I mean, I already got grips, but then you bring them along too. Everything then is just always gathered up perfectly for you.
Performance category as well. Moving on next to, first up with the healers, we have the Restoration Druid. Now, I think this goes without saying, man, they're probably the most consistent and just overall high HPS healer in the game at the moment. You put your hots out on everybody, you throw out your life bloom on the tank, wild growth the whole group, and it feels like you could just pretty much heal through anything at that point. Everybody knows Resto Druid is just insane right now with the raw HPS they can put out. It's the most underhand pitch probably of this entire video. Life bloom, rejuvenation, regrowth, Swiftmen. There's just so much healing coming out here. It's not really complicated.
Chat, I'm trying to fucking educate you guys on the best classes in the game right now, and you guys are just talking shit. The hell's wrong with you guys? Unbelievable. Resto Druids, great healers.
Not only that, they also have excellent utility with Battle Resurrection and the best group buff in the game you can bring. You also got Stampeding Roar for the movement speed. I think Restoration is just a knockout across the board in terms of just a class as a whole for a healer. I will say they're not performing that great right now in a raiding environment, but I think it makes up for it for, you know, Mythic Plus as well. Next up, thankfully, we do actually have the Holy Paladin, man. They got a ton of changes heading into Midnight, pretty much reworking them top to bottom when it comes to their talent tree, and everything for this spec just feels very, very smooth and reactive right now. Holy Shock is very heavy and weighted. Of course, you have your Eternal Flame, which is your go-to spender, which just heals targets to full HP whenever you use it. You have your beacons going off, spread healing due to all the massive single target heals you're doing. And then if you're ever in a bind, you simply just use your Holy Light or Infusion of Light, Flash of Light procs. And that's pretty much it. That's kind of the rotation. So Holy Paladins right now are on a major roll. Good HPS right now in Mythic Plus, super strong, even in a raiding environment where classes like Resto Druid might be weak. So Paladin is performing quite well across the board. I think they also bring excellent utility with all their blessings, and I gotta say overall, Holy Paladin is very, very fun right now. Great healing, great...
Yeah, Paladin's having a good... I mean, they're always having a good expansion. It feels like they're Blizzard's favorite child. But right now, I think probably Prot is their weakest of their three specs right now. I think Retribution's pretty, you know, upper mid tier right now. I mean, people can pump with Retribution if they're doing shit right, and then Holy's doing good. Prot is still good. It's viable. It's just not as good as maybe a Windwalker Monk or a Blood DK in Raid.
Potential and put them in the right hands, they could pretty much heal anything in the game. Next up, when it comes to tanks, we first have to talk about the Brewmaster Monk. Now,
I said Windwalker Monk. I meant Brewmaster Monk. I don't know what the hell's wrong with me. Yeah, I know Brewmaster was S tier.
Listen, I'm gonna try to keep this as short as sweet as possible. They're just the meta tank right now. You're just incredibly tanky with stagger. Very, very high damage overall. Your on-use defensives are incredibly powerful, and sometimes it feels like you're borderline just unkillable as a Brewmaster. And not only that, you have really good utility with good crowd control. Of course, you have leg sweep, ring of peace, short cooldown kick, paralysis, and then of course you have your Mystic Touch debuff, which is excellent for melee cleave comps. Now, the only problem is that range DPS is pretty much dominating across the board for Mythic Plus and rating, so the truth of the matter is you're not actually getting too much value out of the Mystic Touch debuff right now, which kind of sucks. But overall, Brewmaster is really, really strong. Gotta be amongst one of number 1 or 2 tank in the entire game overall for both forms of content, so loving Brewmaster.
Yeah, good for them. Brewmaster hasn't been up in a while. Yeah, true. I mean, Brewmaster, yeah, they're finally getting their time in the sun. I agree. They've gone through some hard times for sure.
Master right now. Now, moving on next, I know a lot of people want to say Prot Warrior is the best tank after Paladin, this, but shocker. I can't look past Protection Paladin's solo carry potential right now. I think they're pretty much the superheroes of solo carrying groups on their own, and if you're a really good Protection Paladin, you can pretty much do whatever you want. You have the most...
Yeah, of course. I mean, Blizzard's scared. If they ever try to nerf Paladin in any way, they freaking shut down the forums. They're fucking ridiculous. There's like... it's like union workers. They're dealing with a Paladin union. Blizzard always has to worry about what's going to happen if they nerf Paladins.
Utility in the game as a tank. Incredible off-healing. You got all of your blessings. Good crowd control. Incredible on-demand damage. You can lock down casters pretty much on your own with Avenger's Shield and a couple of your other abilities. Protection Paladin is just phenomenal right now in Mythic Plus content. Not only that, with that being said, they do tend to fall behind in a raiding environment, though, sadly, where personally I do got to bring up an honorable mention here, which is actually a Protection Warrior.
Yeah, I thought
I don't want to
Warrior
be
would
too long on
2.
this, but Protection Warrior, just incredibly durable inside of raids right now. From Mythic Plus, they're also pretty durable as well. Pretty decent damage, nothing too crazy to brag about, but really good survivability from top to bottom. You know, really good crowd control. You have AoE Fear, AoE Stun, Storm Bolt, low
Thunder Cheek Clap. I just had to throw that in there.
cooldown kick, AoE Silence, and Interrupt. I mean, they could literally, you know, control an entire dungeon on their own if you know what you're doing on a Protection Warrior, which is really nice. I love doing that, and that's why I had to mention them, at least as an honorable mention on this list. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to wrap up the best specs dominating Midnight World of Warcraft Season 1 right now. You got to understand that any spec in the game can do
Everything is insane and incredible with this guy. Well, he's giving you a list of the top ones. I mean, they're all supposed to be insane and incredible. He's not telling you that at the bottom of the barrel fucking specs. Right, these are all the best ones.
any form of content at a very high level.
No blood DK. I'll show you the stats. You know, you guys want to talk shit about my blood DK. By the numbers, fewest deaths in raid of any tanking spec. It's a fact. We just don't die, okay? So you want to talk shit about blood DK. The problem with blood DK is we just don't put up the same damage numbers as everyone else. But in terms of survivability, they can't be beat.
So it's very easy to just pick something up, go play at a high level, and dominate. We're just simply wanting to voice our opinions on what some of the standouts are to us right now, and we think these are them at the moment. I hope you all enjoyed the video. My name's Sky from the Comeback Kids. Guys, we'll see you in the next one.
Nice.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the content, consider subscribing or check out one of the videos you see on screen here to stay up to date on all things Warcraft. My name's Sky from the Comeback Kids. It's an absolute pleasure to make content for you all. I'll see you in the next one.
Nice one. Nice video overall. Yeah, a lot of this shit I knew was coming, you know, because I'm so knowledgeable about the game. But yeah, Brewmaster, not a surprise there that they were the #1 tank. Seeing Frost Mage at the top, Devastation Evoker, also having a good time, and then Resto Druid being the #1 healer. Yeah, not shocked by any of that either. A nice video overall. Don't forget, just play whatever the fuck you want, guys. It's not a big deal, but these are the specs that are in a really good spot right now.